Africa sits at an inflection point. Investment is increasing, energy systems are diversifying, and new roles are emerging across the value chain. Yet it would appear that our workforce still reflects deep and persistent gaps. We see continued gender imbalance in technical, operational, and leadership roles. We see unequal access to opportunities across regions and socio-economic backgrounds. And we also see weak school-to-industry pipelines, graduates entering the market without job-ready skills, while employers are struggling to find qualified talent. There's also a growing transition or energy mix risk. As energy systems evolve, workers in legacy roles must face uncertainty, often without clear pathways to reskilling or redeployment. So let me be clear, these gaps are not failures of individuals, but they are system design failures. And if we do not address them intentionally, we risk an energy future that is technologically advanced but socially exclusive, a future that cannot really be sustainable. A resilient energy system requires a resilient and diverse workforce. Diversity should not be seen as a side agenda. Diversity in its totality should not be seen as a side agenda, but as a strategic imperative. It is not a soft issue. It is indeed a strategic one. Diverse teams bring broader perspectives, improve problem solving, and reduce operational blind spots. In an industry where safety, efficiency, and innovation are non-negotiable, these advantages matter. Inclusion directly affects talent attraction and retention. It strengthens community trust and social license. It also enhances the long-term competitiveness of African energy companies operating in a global market. When women and underrepresented groups are excluded, we are not just limiting opportunity, we are leaving talent, insight, and value untapped. This is a cost the African energy sector can no longer afford to leave under the table. If we are serious about workforce readiness, we must start earlier. Workforce development cannot begin at the point of recruitment alone. It must start in secondary schools, technical colleges, and vocational training institutions, creating clear, visible pathways into energy careers. We must move beyond theory to hands-on learning. Apprenticeships, internships, and supervised field exposure are essential for bridging the gap between education and employment. Employers have a critical role to play here. Training programs are most effective when they are co-designed with educators, ensuring that skills taught align with industry needs. Industry-supported training reduces onboarding costs, improves retention, and builds loyalty. It is not charity, it's just smart workforce planning. So reskilling for the energy mix. The energy mix and transition will change jobs, but it will not eliminate the need for skillful people. Our responsibility is therefore twofold: to reskill workers in legacy sectors for emerging roles, and to rapidly prepare new talent for areas such as renewables, digital energy systems, energy efficiency, and carbon management. Training must be modular, flexible, aligned with evolving technologies, and it must allow workers to transition without being displaced. A just energy transition is not just a skewed to infrastructure alone. It requires people-centered planning that protects livelihoods while creating new opportunities. Inclusion does not end at recruitment. Organizations must therefore go further to create environments where people can stay, grow, and lead. That means clearer career pathways, both technical and leadership tracks, mentoring and sponsorship, safe, respectful workplaces, particularly in field and operational roles. Policies should be designed to retain talent, not push them out permanently. Retention is just as important as recruitment in closing workforce gaps and building institutional knowledge. Leadership commitment must be visible and measurable. This means setting clear workforce diversity and skill targets, tracking progress, and reporting these publicly. What gets measured, we know, is what gets managed. Governments can accelerate progress by linking local content and training outcomes to licensing and procurement processes. Investors and financiers also have an influence on this. Workforce development metrics should be embedded in project financing and investment decisions. Skills development must be treated as a core investment, not just a corporate social responsibility add-on. Women are central. Please permit me to zero in on women. Women are central to Africa's energy future. Women are not just a special interest group, they are half of your talent pool. When women participate fully, technical capacity increases, leadership pipelines are strengthened, and community impact is deepened. At the Women in Energy Network, and indeed all women groups, various women networks, we also collaborate. So I can say very, very comfortably that we all exist to support this vision by building confidence and competence, creating access to networks and opportunities, and supporting women across the entire value chain to put in their best and support Nigeria's economic aspirations. But progress requires more than goodwill. It requires targets, timelines, and accountability. No single company or institution can solve these challenges alone. High-impact collaboration, shared training programs, cross-company apprenticeships, recognition of credentials across borders are the things that will accelerate progress and enable scale. When industry aligns, systems work better, faster, and sustainably. So even as I close, I want to give a call to action. I'd like to ask that we must move from intent to building systems that work. We must move from isolated initiatives to coordinated action. Let us together build an African energy workforce that is skilled, diverse, adaptable, and proudly homegrown. Not just Nigerian grown, but African homegrown. The future of Africa's energy sector depends on the choices we make about the people who are within the value chain and coming into the value chain. It's about the choices we make concerning these people today. If Cyprus 10th edition, this 10th edition, is remembered for anything, let it be remembered for the moment where we collectively decided that the future of energy in Africa is inseparable from the future of its workforce. I'd like to wish Cyprus a happy 10th anniversary. May your impact continue to reverberate across Nigeria, Africa, and globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. EveafriqueNews, President of Women in Energy Network, and one who served as management level at Nigeria LNG as GMER in that time. So please give her another round of applause. is to make way for the conversation to take place, or keeping the conversation that she has started. So we just go now to first panelist, who is overseeing government and NNPC relations at AOSOL. Welcome, Chief Hero. Okay. On the panel, I'd like to welcome Senior SCA Manager for ND Western, Bola Asenta. Bola, you're welcome. Joining Bola is Senior Operations Manager for Bonga, Shell. Welcome, Bolanle Oduanto. Head Diversity and Inclusion, NNG, is on this panel. Welcome, Ijoma Oni. Joining them is Senior Talent Developer JB Asset for Total Energies. Welcome, Eruviano Uriga. Senior Manager Human Resources for Chevron is on this panel. Welcome, Ignapo Alan. When you assemble reading Amazon's we have this morning, we need someone to trigger the conversation. So our moderator who will do that for us is the Chief Executive Officer of the UN International West Africa Limited. Welcome, Dr. Victor Ebe. Okay, Dr. Bayon, the show is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome you, someone sitting beside you, and tell the person that is welcome to an exciting panel session. We have had a wonderful presentation by the President of Energy. Can we clap hand for our one more time? Wonderful. And she also reminded us of what the minister said. As an African, we shouldn't be talking about energy transition. We travel as possible to say energy what makes it. Because here is where everything, the African continent, where we are doing the war, the energy or lack. So I have some beautiful, wonderful ladies in our panel session this morning. And are they not beautiful? Yeah, so they are wonderful people. So I want to thank Peyton and Cypec for this wonderful opportunity they have given to us for us to be here this morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this important conversation from Emerging to Lead, which is the topic of today for women and youth in energy, leadership. So I want to tell us that it is not just about representation. It's all about opportunity, it's all about influence, and ultimately it's all about building an industry that reflects the full strength of our people. Across the African energy sector, we have brilliant women and young professionals, yet many still struggle to move from participation to real leadership. And today we will explore that. We're going to find out what is holding them back, and we're going to look at what is working in the industry and what we must do differently to move the industry forward when it comes to AI. So I'm honored to be a moderator today in this session and to also have these exceptional leaders and policy makers and operation and those that also focus on talent. So you have a wonderful panelists this morning. So I'll briefly introduce them, and well, I'll allow them to introduce themselves better so that they can connect to the audience. But I will start with Bola. Second to Bola's mother, like as she has already been introduced, is a senior manager supply chain for ND Western. He's also president of ND Western Women Network. So, Bola, you introduce yourself. Immediately introduce yourself. I would like you to swing into action to tell us, because we have seen that ND Western is really a stable company. I had a lot of friends working for ND Western, and they have been having successful drilling. And if you are in this upstream space, you know that if you don't know your own it, and you'll be able to gather external vendors, contractors for you to be able to get project delivered. And one of the most critical projects in oil and gas is drilling, where you have a lot of capex, and if you are not able to send a good team, you won't be able to have good results. And you are a supply chain function. Supply chain function often share access to opportunities. How can procurement and contracting strategy be redefined to deliberately create a leadership pathway for women and young professionals within the indigenous EMP companies?
Thank you. Good morning again, and good morning, everyone. I'm the senior manager supply chain for ND Western. My core function in that role is to represent ND Western's interest and co-manage the supply chain activities at our asset OMA 34, which is operated as a JV with NPL. So I'm a member of the AMT for OMA 34. And in that role, you're absolutely right. Supply chain is a key function and a key contributor to the success of OMA 34's operations. Supply chain is also one of the fastest levers to inclusion of women and youth and developing a leadership pipeline for women and youth. We influence, we have a great influence in who participates, not just in drilling campaigns, in all functions, in all areas of the business. So how do we ensure, and how have we, in the Western specifically, been ensuring that we have a diverse contractor base that includes competent and skilled, experienced, first and foremost, women, and then create opportunities for youth who are coming up to participate in the future. And immediately I can tell you that whatever our organization or any organization plans in that space will not work or not succeed if you don't first and foremost have the support of management, the support of the C-suite, so that us, the executors in supply chain, can carry out those creative SCM architecture, sourcing architecture. And I say that because when I joined the organization 2 years ago, one of the first things I said to my CEO is that I would like for us to have an increased base of female-led companies as our contractors and vendors. And without hesitation, he said, absolutely. As long as they're competent, they're qualified, why not? And studies have shown that female-led companies, contractors participating in this space, not only have the competence and the skills, but also in terms of commercial proposals are more financially, commercially friendly. So without a doubt, it's in our best interest to encourage
female participation in our contractor and vendor pool. How do we do that, and how have we started doing that? We need to start. We've started looking at our pre-qualification criteria and seeing how we can include criteria that will ensure that there's female participation or contractors who are female included in that. So in as much as it is not yet the widely accepted in the industry to include such gender-based criteria in our pre-qualification, it's important that we start that process. Even if it's just achieving 5%, having a 5% qualification matrix in there, we have to start including those criteria so that we give the contractors who are competent, like I said, and skilled the opportunity to participate. It's not that they're not out there, it's the opportunity for them to be impactful in the business that we need to design. And we have started looking at that.
Thank you, Kate. I have a close to Mr. Boyle. We had a very senior executive from SNECO or Shell visiting Nigeria, and they pledged for an investment of over $5 billion. And as it stands now, I'm here to see, I think there is another company that are bringing shares investment into Nigerian oil and gas guys. And we have one of the executives here in our panel session this morning, and which is leading the senior manager. We have here in a session this morning, you work for SNEC, and we know that right now you have a project coming up on bottom up. And I want to ask you, managing one of the Nigerian most complex big works assets, how has Shell embedded inclusion into operational leadership without compromising safety, performance, or delivery excellence?
Hello everyone. My name is Bolale Okoye. I'm the Senior Operations Manager for Volta FPSO, which is Shell's big water assets in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, Shell sees inclusive leadership as a strength and enabler to operations excellence, not just in Nigeria but also globally. It's actually core to our winning performance principle. We have a very robust talent development program, which is very professional and targeted at seeing women and young professionals succeed. I'd like us to point, and I'd like to point to an event that happened in 2021 when Shell in Nigeria appointed our first female managing director, the person of Mrs. Ella Modabuno. Coincidentally, she was also the first operational manager for the Volta, a position I applied today. I'm second to her. So what that really shows is she excelled, right? Hence, it's clear that women can excel, and that therefore enabled the doors for other women and give other women the opportunity to also shine as well. We also have other women around the organization going to apply trade roles. Our also names. The current head of legal for Shell Nigeria Company Secretary is a female. The person of Mrs. KB Asenia. The asset manager for another project director assets is also a female. truth is, a homogeneous leadership organization will not succeed in oil and gas future. So it's important that organizations are as diverse and as possible, and also this includes involving women and young professionals at the table in the leadership space. I think to wrap this up, I'd like to say that for Shell in Nigeria, with the performance that we demonstrated to date, right? It's clear that his vision does not imply safety and operation. Did anything that was
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for and before I proceed to Nigeria, Ivelo was a senior operation manager, London person, and she ended up being what? So what are we seeing now? So we're seeing into the future. Okay. Angel, please can you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us, we know that LNG is often cited as a benchmark organization. What measurable outcome has resulted from LNG DEI strategy? And how are these outcomes tied to leadership, accountability, and business performance?
Good morning, everyone. I am Ijeoma Ogunwobi. I head diversity and inclusion for NLNG. I have 20 plus years experience, professional services, growth structural HR, and now diversity and inclusion. I am excited about my organization. We're talking about driving our energy, the future of energy, future. And this is why, because when you say future energy transition, things that immediately spring to mind are things like technology, markets, molecules, emissions, right? Because we're talking sustainability. One thing or one crucial factor that is probably very largely underestimated is the transition, or the mix or the addition, because we say energy addition, of those who will lead that future, the people who will lead the future. And that is where DEI becomes very crucial, very, very crucial. To your question about NLNG being a benchmark organization, yes, besides that question is triple barrel. I will try to take every element of it. I like it because DEI is also multi-barrel. Yes, NLNG is a benchmark organization for reasons that have been mentioned through the week, if you've been at the conference or through the week. Things like we have contributed to reduction in gas flaring, our unique governance model, contribution to Nigeria's GDP, very key as well, contribution to providing employment and to capacity development. So with excellence being one of our core values, and excellence includes continuous improvement, it was only a natural progression for leadership to say, let's commence that journey, and also being a benchmark organization when it comes to DEI. And immediately, NLNG, you're talking measurable outcomes, I'll talk about that as well. So things we started to do were set up this dedicated DEI function, which is the function I lead. The sponsorship for DEI and NLNG sits at the highest level of the company, executive leadership. We have an engine of DEI champions, and these are individuals across the business who are passionate about DEI that bring suggestions, feedback that results in fit-for-purpose embedment of DEI across the business. So I'm not an engineer, but when female engineers, for example, come and give feedback, as a result, we now have improvements in that space. More traditionally, it's male-dominated. So even facilities were historically designed for men. But with feedback starting to improve on that, you have another example, coveralls that are onesies. Nothing wrong with them, but think about the gymnastics you have to do when you want to go to conveniences. And with that improvement with two-piece corals for females and much more. Beyond that, we then got a DEI, an intentionally crafted DEI policy, approved at the board level, and I have some of our shareholder company representatives here, so it shows you how they too are passionate about DEI. And then we moved on to say, we set targets. That is, we talk about leadership accountability, right? What are our targets? How do we work towards achieving them? Now, setting targets, ambitious ones, when we don't meet them, we're not discouraged. We just say, what is the data? Why? How can we improve? What do we do about it? Over time, we've started to see steady, and the keyword is steady, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. We started to see steady increase in representation of females on the workforce. That has been as a result of mass recruitment for early career professionals. But we're talking margins to the middle, right? So moving them forward. Yes, we're starting to see steady increase of females at other levels, middle management, supervisory, senior leadership. You just met one of our past senior leadership members who was actually we're talking about our management committees has, at last count, 35% female representation to start to develop all females for leadership and for the future, as well as participation of the youth. I'm careful with that, but just the younger employees participating in those management committees. We have diversity in corporate delegations to conferences like these across the world and to events, and not just as attendees, as for speaking slots as well. We have cross-functional projects and assignments that are led, as well as have members that are female and young. And I'm focusing on just those because that's what this topic is focusing on. When we started here in energy, there were lots of engagements and discussions. When I say our policy was intentionally crafted, you know that DEI is very broad. We have to set our focus areas, and those focus areas are inclusion because we are human and biases are innate as a result. We humans set policies, processes in an industry that is, again, historically male traditionally. If you do not tackle or mitigate biases, the structural barriers that prevent